Welcome to the mini story for Solve a Problem. Let's get started. Little story using some of the vocabulary from the article. Here it goes. There is a bear. Her name is Susan. Susan is an excellent cook. She makes great Italian food. She loves being a cook and she is very passionate about cooking. Susan the bear wants to be a freelance cook. She doesn't want to work for a boss. She wants to be a successful and famous cook. One day, Meg Ryan calls Susan. She says, I need a cook for a big party. Susan is excited. She says to Meg Ryan, I can cook for a big party, no problem. I'll make spaghetti. Meg Ryan says, I don't want Italian food. How about Thai food? Unfortunately, Susan only cooks Italian food. So Meg Ryan doesn't hire her. Meg says to her, Susan, you need to diversify. If you learn to cook many kinds of food, you'll be on the fast track to success. Susan listens to Meg. She deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. She says, I'm not going to play it safe anymore. I'm going to learn to cook new things. Susan learns to cook Thai food, Indian food, Japanese food, Brazilian food, Venezuelan food, French food, Chinese food, and Mexican food. 1 year later, Meg Ryan calls again. Susan says, I can now cook anything related to food. I can cook for your party. Meg Ryan says, I'm relieved. I have 500 people coming and I need a good cook. Susan is happy. She becomes a successful and famous freelance cook. Okay, now again with questions. Remember, only 1, 2, or 3 words to answer the questions. Very short answers. These are very easy questions. You only need a few words to answer. All right, let's start. There is a bear. What is there? Yes, a bear. There's a bear. What is the bear's name? Well, the bear's name is Susan. Is the bear's name John? No, the bear's name isn't John. What is the bear's name? The bear's name is Susan. Who is Susan? Well, Susan is a bear. What is Susan's job? Cook. Right? Susan is a cook. What kind of cook is she? Well, she's an excellent cook. Susan is an excellent cook. Is she an excellent human cook? Or is she an excellent bear cook? Well, bear, of course. She's a bear. She's an excellent bear cook. What kind of food does Susan make? Italian. Susan makes great Italian food. Does Susan make great Thai food? No, she doesn't. She doesn't make great Thai food. Does she make great Mexican food? Nope, she doesn't make great Mexican food. Does she make great Indian food? No, she doesn't make great Indian food. What kind of food does she make great? Italian. She makes great Italian food. And who makes great Italian food? Susan, Susan the bear, makes great Italian food. Is Susan excited about cooking? Yes, she's very excited about cooking. She's passionate about cooking. What is Susan passionate about? Yes, cooking. She's passionate about cooking. Is she passionate about football? No, of course not. Bears don't like football. She's passionate about cooking Italian food. In fact, she's passionate about cooking in general. Does she love being a businesswoman? A business bear? No, 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 no. She doesn't love being a businesswoman. What does she love being? A cook. That's right. She loves being a cook. Right? That's the name of the job is cook, not cooker. Some students say cooker for the job. That's wrong. Don't say cooker. The job is cook. She loves being a cook. And who loves being a cook? Susan. Susan the bear loves being a cook. Is she passionate about cooking? Yes, of course. She's passionate about cooking. Is she passionate about running or is she passionate about cooking? Well, of course, cooking. She's passionate about cooking. She loves being a cook. What kind of cook does Susan want to be? What kind of cook does she want to be? Freelance. She wants to be a freelance cook. Does she want to work for one restaurant? No, 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 no. She doesn't want to work for one restaurant. She wants to be a freelance cook. She wants to be an independent cook. Is she passionate about cooking? Oh, yes, she is very passionate about cooking. Kind of cook does she want to be? Freelance. She wants to be a freelance cook. Does she want to work for a boss? No, she doesn't want to work for a boss. She wants to be a freelance cook. Who doesn't want to work for a boss? Susan. Susan the bear. Susan the bear doesn't want to work for a boss. She wants to be a freelance cook. Does she want to be a freelance cook or an employee? Well, she wants to be a freelance cook. She doesn't want to be an employee. She wants to be a freelance cook. Does she want to be a very successful freelance cook? Yes, exactly. She wants to be a successful freelance cook. Does she want to be a famous freelance cook? Yes, she does. She wants to be a successful and famous freelance cook. Who wants to be a famous freelance cook? Susan the bear. Susan the bear wants to be a famous and successful freelance cook. And one day, Meg Ryan calls Susan the bear. Who does Meg Ryan call? Susan. Meg Ryan calls Susan. Who calls Susan? Meg Ryan. Who does Meg Ryan call? Susan. Meg Ryan calls Susan. And what? What does she say? Well, she says, I need a cook for a big party. Who or what does Meg Ryan need? Meg Ryan needs a cook. Does Meg Ryan need a housekeeper? No, Meg Ryan doesn't need a housekeeper. Meg Ryan needs a cook. And who is a cook? Yeah, Susan. Susan's a cook. And what kind of cook is Susan? A freelance cook. Susan's a freelance cook, and Meg Ryan needs a freelance cook. Why does Meg Ryan need a freelance cook? Oh, for a big party. Right? For a big party. Meg Ryan is having a big party. So she needs a freelance cook. Susan is excited. She says to Meg Ryan, I can cook for a big party. No problem. I'll make spaghetti. Meg Ryan says, I don't want Italian food. How about Thai food? What kind of food does Meg Ryan want? Thai food. Meg Ryan wants Thai food. She says, how about Thai food? Does Meg Ryan want Italian food? No, no, no. Meg Ryan doesn't want Italian food. Wants Thai food. But there's a problem. What's the problem? Susan only cooks Italian food. Who only cooks Italian food? Susan. Unfortunately, Susan only cooks Italian food. So, does Meg Ryan hire Susan? No, she doesn't. Meg Ryan doesn't hire Susan. Why doesn't Meg Ryan hire Susan? Well, because she doesn't cook Thai food. Susan doesn't cook Thai food, so Meg Ryan doesn't hire her. Meg says to Susan, Susan, you need to diversify. Oh. Does Susan need to learn more kinds of food? Yes, she needs more kinds. Susan needs to diversify. Does Meg Ryan need to diversify? No. Meg Ryan doesn't cook. Susan needs to diversify. What does Susan need to diversify? Well, she needs to diversify the food she cooks. Right? She needs to cook more kinds of food. She needs to cook more variety, bigger variety of food. So Susan needs to diversify her cooking. Does she need to diversify her money, her investments? No. Susan doesn't need to diversify her investments. Susan needs to diversify the food she cooks. Meg Ryan says, if you learn to cook many kinds of food, you'll be on the fast track to success. What will she be on the fast track to? To success. She'll be on the fast track to success. Who will be on the fast track to success? Susan the bear will be on the fast track to success. She'll be on the fast track to what kind of success? Well, she'll be on the fast track to cooking success. Susan will be on the fast track to cooking success. How will Susan be on the fast track to success? Well, by diversifying. By diversifying, she'll be on the fast track to success, right? If she learns to cook many kinds of food, then she'll be on the fast track to success. And Susan listens to Meg. She deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. Does she choose not to cook Italian food? That's right. She chooses not to. She thinks about it and she decides not to cook Italian food. She deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. Does she think about it first and then refuse? That's right. She deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. Who deliberately refuses to cook Italian food? Meg Ryan? No, not Meg Ryan. Who? Susan. Susan deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. What kind of food does she deliberately refuse to cook? She deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. Italian. Does she deliberately refuse to cook Thai food? She doesn't deliberately refuse to cook Thai food. She deliberately refuses to cook Italian food. She says, I'm not going to play it safe anymore. I'm going to learn to cook new things. Is Susan going to do the same thing? Or is she going to try something new? She's going to try something new. She says, I'm not going to play it safe. I'm not going to do the same thing all the time. I'm not going to play it safe. I'm going to learn to cook new things. Will Susan play it safe? No, she won't play it safe. She says, I'm not going to play it safe anymore. Is she going to try new things? Yes. She says, I'm not going to play it safe. I'm not going to do the same thing. Who is not going to play it safe? Susan the bear. Susan the bear is not going to play it safe anymore. She won't play it safe. She learns to cook Thai food, Indian food, Japanese food, Brazilian food, Venezuelan food, French food, Chinese food, and Mexican food. Whew. 1 year later, Meg Ryan calls again. Bring, bring. Susan says, I can now cook anything related to food. I can cook for your party. Can she cook anything related to clothes? No, of course not. That's crazy. You don't cook clothes. Of course, she can cook anything related to food. Can she cook any kind of food? Yes, exactly. She can cook anything related to food, any kind of food. She can cook anything related to food. Who can cook anything related to food? Well, Susan. Susan can cook anything related to food. She says, I can cook for your party now. Meg Ryan says, whew, I'm relieved. I have 500 people coming, and I need a great cook. Does Meg Ryan feel better? Yes, she says, I'm relieved. Whew, I feel better. Was Meg Ryan worried before? Yeah, that's right. She was worried before, but now she's not worried. Now she's relieved. Is Susan relieved or is Meg Ryan relieved? Well, Meg Ryan is relieved. Why is Meg Ryan relieved? Oh, because now she has a cook for her big party. So who is relieved? Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan is relieved. She's relieved because she has 500 people coming, and now she found a cook. Right now, Susan can cook for her. So Meg Ryan is relieved. Is Susan relieved? No, Susan isn't relieved. Susan is happy. She's very happy. Why is Susan happy? Because now she's a successful and famous freelance cook. Is Susan a successful and famous employee? No, Susan is not an employee. Susan is a freelance cook. What kind of freelance cook is Susan? Well, Susan is a successful and famous freelance cook. Susan is very, very happy.